Did you have a nagging feeling about Sheldon's dad or a random nurse while watching Young Sheldon that you couldn't quite place? Well, if you're a longtime viewer of both Young Sheldon and The Big Bang Theory, there might just be a reason for that. Sheldon's unique fashion style rears its loud and nerdy head right from the start of The Big Bang Theory. Indeed, the faded graphic tee on top of a long-sleeve undershirt remained his trademark look throughout the entire series. However, even the most casual fan is aware that this wardrobe didn't carry over to the prequel series, on which Young Sheldon typically wears a bow tie and a button-down. In fact, his science nerd side didn't really start to fuse with his comic book nerd side until after he met his friend Tam. The more that Sheldon developed his social skills, the more he was able to pick and choose when to show off this relaxed side of his personality. This evolution was clearly punctuated at the end of Young Sheldon Season 5 when he donned a Flash graphic tee.
Wow, I might look too cool.
In The Big Bang Theory Season 1, Sheldon clearly states on 2 separate occasions that he used to have a dog while growing up. But not once do we ever see such a pooch on Young Sheldon. In fact, the prequel series has an entire episode revolving around Sheldon's fear of dogs. Unfortunately, nobody has been able to provide a satisfactory answer to this inconsistency beyond a shrug and an acknowledgement that Big Bang never had the strongest continuity. That's especially true for the first season, during which the writers and actors were still discovering who these characters were. These things happen with shows that prove to be big hits and go on for longer than anyone could have hoped. Still, it's annoying when you think about how a Cooper family dog could have provided countless amusing storylines. One of Sheldon's most frequent quirks on The Big Bang Theory is knocking on a door 3 times before entering. It took almost a decade for fans to learn the truth behind this habit. He does it out of an abundance of caution after he accidentally walked in on his father cheating on his mother. But that backstory ended up being altered significantly in Young Sheldon, as it's revealed that Sheldon only thought he caught his father cheating. In reality, he walked in on his parents while they were role-playing in their bedroom, with Mrs. Cooper wearing German clothes and affecting a German accent. Some fans are surely frustrated by how this reveal deflates some of Sheldon's complexity, while others are probably relieved that it goes some way to repairing George Cooper's reputation. Either way, it makes those 3 knocks a little less painful.
I never talked to my father about what I saw that day, but from then on, I added extra knocks so people could get their pants on.
One uncomfortable element about the early episodes of Big Bang is how Penny essentially acts as a surrogate parent for the other main characters. For example, when Sheldon comes down with a cold in Season 1's The Pancake Batter Anomaly, he expects Penny to rub vapor lotion on his chest while singing the lullaby Soft Kitty, just like his mom did when he was a little boy.
I can't believe I'm doing this.
Soft Kitty eventually became one of the show's most memorable recurring gags. As the relationship between the characters evolved from uncomfortable strangers into a chosen family, singing Soft Kitty became less cringeworthy and more endearing. And it's even sweeter after you see Mary Cooper singing it to her 6th son on Young Sheldon. The Big Bang Theory Season 2 episode The Bath Item Gift Hypothesis features a memorably tender moment between Penny and Sheldon. The plot involves Sheldon and his friends trying to determine the correct amount of bathroom supplies he has to buy for Penny to match the value of the mystery Christmas gift she's bought for him. This culminates in one of the series' strongest emotional beats when she gives him a napkin bearing the signature and DNA of Leonard Nimoy. And if you've seen Young Sheldon, then you know just how important Nimoy's Star Trek character Spock was to Sheldon in his early days. In the Season 1 episode, Spock, Kirk, and Testicular Hernia, Sheldon explains that he identifies with Spock's dual Vulcan and human heritage, which is surely because of his own struggle to connect with others. And this backstory makes that emotional moment on Big Bang even more cathartic.
It's a Saturnalia miracle!
If Young Sheldon faced one inevitable challenge, it was the apparent necessity to somehow explain the origin of Sheldon's signature catchphrase. Even if you've never seen a single episode of The Big Bang Theory, chances are you still know exactly what we're talking about.
Bazinga!
But as popular as Bazinga was, did it really need a backstory? To its credit, Young Sheldon approached this reveal with an unusually light touch. Rather than force an implausibly hilarious moment into Sheldon's childhood, it turns out that Bazinga is simply part of a random novelty toy company's slogan. Hearing it on The Big Bang Theory with that knowledge now, it's totally believable that Sheldon would have hung on to this bizarre word from his childhood. Multiple people involved with Big Bang, including Jim Parsons, have revealed that Bazinga was first added to a script in the middle of an episode taping. It was reportedly inspired by one of the show's writers, Stephen Engel, who used it as a catchphrase when he pranked people in real life. This included one time when he gave co-creator Bill Prady a grapefruit that he had hollowed out and somehow put back together.
Bazinga.
Among Sheldon's many quirks, you could argue that none have aged better than his infamous relationship agreements. It often seems like there's no problem that can't be solved more effectively with clear communication and boundaries, which are exactly what's established in the notoriously detailed contracts that Sheldon draws up. Even if you personally find them to be too formal for a functioning relationship, young Sheldon makes a case for their utility in real life. Sheldon first realizes how useful a relationship contract can be when he's caught in the middle of an argument between his Mima and his college professor, Dr. John Sturgis. Underneath all the legal jargon, we can see young Sheldon learning how to communicate his own boundaries while also learning to respect those of others. It's a mature solution to a mature problem, and its origin provides an explanation for how Sheldon is able to maintain so many complicated lifelong relationships.
In that moment, I had an epiphany. I could draw up a contract for any social relationship.
The Season 5 Big Bang Theory episode, The Speckerman Recurrence, features a guest star who should look very familiar to young Sheldon viewers. The plot revolves around a bully named Jimmy Speckerman who tormented Leonard in their younger days. And that bully is played by none other than Lance Barber, who would go on to play Sheldon's father, George, on Young Sheldon. As a prolific character actor, Barber has actually popped up on a number of popular sitcoms. From Blackish to Brooklyn Nine-Nine to How I Met Your Mother, he's turned what could have otherwise been boring one-off bit parts into memorable characters. All of this is to say that the fact that Barber showed up as a reformed bully a few years before he was cast as George Sr. isn't evidence of some fifth-dimensional chess move by the writers. Rather, Barber was precisely the sort of guest actor who thrived on a show like Big Bang, and that may just have granted him a unique advantage during the casting for young Sheldon. Interestingly enough, Lance Barber isn't the only familiar face who shows up on Young Sheldon. For example, Renee Watson played a sarcastic sperm bank nurse in the Big Bang pilot, and then she played Nurse Althea on 5 subsequent episodes. She followed up those appearances by playing another nurse on the first 2 seasons of Young Sheldon. Then there's Melissa Tang, who played string musician Miss Fenley on Young Sheldon. She had previously shown up on The Big Bang Theory as Mandy Chow, the marine biologist who almost breaks up Leonard and Penny at the beginning of Season 9. Meanwhile, Teller of the famous magician duo Penn and Teller played Amy's father Larry Fowler on The Big Bang Theory before he and Penn Jillette portrayed loose parodies of themselves on Young Sheldon.
I'm melting! I'm melting!
The fact that the prequel series makes an active choice not to take itself too seriously as part of a shared universe genuinely helps young Sheldon feel like the opposite of a cynical cash grab. Plus, it's always fun to have a fresh look at some familiar faces. Speaking of people who appeared on both The Big Bang Theory and Young Sheldon, Elon Musk had a cameo as himself on both series. It makes sense that someone like Musk would appear on these shows, as they often featured real-life figures from the worlds of science and technology. But the lore surrounding him in the Sheldonverse is actually kind of shocking. In the Young Sheldon Season 1 episode, A Patch, a Modem, and a Zantac, it's revealed that Musk came up with a design for reusable landing rockets after looking over the discarded notes of a young Sheldon Cooper. This would imply that when Musk and Howard Wolowitz meet in the Big Bang Theory Season 9 episode, The Platonic Permutation, Musk just so happens to be currently working on a project made possible by their mutual friend. The Platonic Permutation aired way back in November 2015, and Musk's fame had continued to grow since then. He's a more polarizing figure these days, and when you watch these cameos now, you can't help but wonder if the creators would have been quite so eager to bring him on board if the shows were being produced today. As one person mused on Reddit, this 2015 Elon Musk cameo in The Big Bang Theory was his PR trying to portray him as a philanthropic billionaire helping do dishes at a homeless shelter on Thanksgiving Day. We all know what his actual views are a decade later. Sheldon's parents may have been subjected to certain creative liberties during the production of Young Sheldon. That's one way to explain why their personalities are so different from how they're seen and described on The Big Bang Theory. For instance, Mary Cooper only takes her family to church in the prequel series as part of a covenant she made during her second pregnancy. But whenever she appears on Big Bang, hardly a scene goes by without her mentioning her faith. Was Sheldon for some reason in deep denial over his mom's reliance on a non-scientific force? It's certainly possible, and it would fit with what we know about him. But the series finale of Young Sheldon offers an alternative explanation, as Mary really makes a hard turn towards religion after her husband dies. She's clearly relying on a higher power at a time of deep mourning, which also tracks with her praying during Missy's birth when she was at her least religious.
I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure that my kids are safe, in this life and the next.
So, considering all this, it seems unavoidable that George's death would make her more invested in her faith than ever before. So the version that we see of her on The Big Bang Theory is probably still trying to cope with one of the most devastating losses of her life. George Cooper Sr. is a much harder nut to crack than his wife. Throughout The Big Bang Theory, the late patriarch is remembered as a good-for-nothing leech who was more interested in booze and sex than raising his children. But when young Sheldon came along, he's portrayed as a respectable, hard-working father who provided for his family before tragically dying at a young age. If you've watched the entirety of both shows, you may find yourself struggling to determine which version of George is the real one. The Young Sheldon finale seems to confirm a bittersweet solution to this plot hole. With a grown-up Sheldon writing a memoir, perhaps he was portraying George in a more flattering light to reflect the newfound respect he has for him in light of now being a father himself. It could be that Sheldon regretted the negative memories he expressed on The Big Bang Theory and wanted to set the record straight a different way while crafting the story of his childhood.
Dad, wait.
Yeah?
Bye.
Bye, son.